What's going on, fam? Alex here from Furor Entertainment in Bangalore, and today I am answering questions. So let's get right into it. Well, I'm not sure how shortened I can make a 24, almost 25-year dance journey, but I'll give it a shot. So I started in 1998 under the guidance of Angel and Addie Rodriguez from a New York-based dance company called Razzmatazz. I'm not sure if they're still around, but they were pretty popular back then. I was there for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. My memory fails me a little bit here. But I didn't really understand much of what was happening and what was expected of me as a leader at the time, nor did I really make much sense of things like timing and footwork and lead so it was a year and a half, which seems like a long time, but for some reason the information didn't really penetrate. Of course, that had nothing to do with my instructors. They were wonderful. It's just that I never really sort of was able to wrap my head around it. So after about a year break, I came back, this time under the guidance of Juan Calderon and a New Jersey-based dance company called Cultural Explosion. That's when things began to change for me. I became a lot more heavily invested in dancing. I became an instructor, I became a performer, and I had the great opportunity to travel to multiple dance festivals across the US and even some in Europe. And in those dance festivals, again, got a fantastic opportunity to learn from dozens of instructors throughout the US and Europe as well, which really broadened my horizons and really opened my eyes to all the different possibilities that I had with salsa and mambo, and to a lesser extent, Afro-Cuban folklore. I sort of burned out again, and I took another year break. And then I came back a third time, this time as an independent dancer and instructor. And from there, I've, again, learned with dozens of different instructors. To name a few which have been really influential, even though I never really got an opportunity to train with them really intensely or long term, but nevertheless, their influence on me has been, long lasting. Instructors like Eddie Torres, the Mambo King, Franklin Diaz, Frankie Martinez, just to name a few, and many, many others. More recently, Rodrigo Cortázar, who's been a great inspiration and has sort of impacted my dancing in recent years. On the Afro-Cuban folkloric side, lots of different instructors. George and Elena from Athens, Greece have been instrumental in my Afro-Cuban development, as well as Alfredo Garcia and many others, which I'm not gonna sort of bore you with the names now. But it's been a long dance journey. In 2007, I came to India, and that's a story all unto itself. So I'm not sure how far or how deeply to go into that story. But I've been in India now for the last 15 years. I established Furor Entertainment in Bangalore, and I've had the incredible, great fortune to have come across some partners that have helped me to take the Furor brand to different cities in India. Rishikesh Chabra, who handles Furor Hyderabad, Javier Mehta, who handles Furor Ahmedabad, and of course, Supreme Kaur, who handles Furor in Pune. And let's see, you never know, maybe some other Furors are gonna pop up around the corner in a city in India near you. Wow, that's a really tough question because there are so many fantastic dancers out there who I've had the great fortune of learning from and who have inspired me. But at the top of my list for the last several years, almost, I think, a decade, if not more, is the one and only Franklin Diaz from New York. I think Franklin Diaz is a phenomenal dancer. His quality of movement, his unique ideation when it comes to fusing Afro-Cuban folklore and ballet technique and contemporary and modern and flamenco and you name it, he's just fantastic. I'm constantly looking at his content, constantly trying to emulate and gain inspiration from him. A very close second, and somebody that I've had the great fortune of working with directly, is Rodrigo Cortázar. Incredibly generous instructor. I'd like to think that he's a friend. We've made a really good connection, and I had the great opportunity of performing with him not so recently because COVID kind of put a stop to many things. So those are my top two dancers at the moment. It's sort of hard to pick one because there are so many great, fantastic artists that I've grown up listening to and loving and memorizing their songs. But if I were stuck on a deserted island and I were given only one choice, you can only pick the music from one artist in the whole of Salsadom, I think I would have to go with the one and only El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico. I think El Gran Combo is very diverse in the stylistic elements in their music. So Gran Combo will give you salsa romántica, they'll give you salsa dura, they'll give you mambo, they'll give you son, they'll give you charanga, pachanga, boogaloo, cha-cha-cha, you name it. And they're a hit-making machine. Ooh, you can, since I'm a salsa DJ as well, I could DJ an entire night and only play El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico. And there are not many salsa artists that you can say that about. I used to have a lot of them, oddly enough, and over the years, slowly but surely, a lot of them have sort of gone away. So I remember once upon a time, I would sort of begrudge dancers that would dance off time, and I'd be like, oh, they're dancing off time. Or leaders that were very harsh with their leads and weren't really taking care of the follower, or followers that would back lead. You know, so a lot of these used to constantly kind of tick me off and irritate me on the dance floor. But over the years, and the more I've delved into instruction, the more I realized that these folks are not doing this deliberately, right? It's because they're still evolving, they're still growing as dancers, you know, they're making mistakes. And they are looking to improve and get better. So you can't really hold it against them. So it's kind of gone from being a pet peeve to more of a, okay, let's give this person time, I'm sure they'll get better. So things that don't very often happen, but I suppose if they did, they would kind of get to me. Dancers that use show moves on the social dance floor. You know, show moves are for stage, for competition, and they really don't have much place on the social dance floor. They could be potentially dangerous to the dancers executing them, and potentially dangerous to the dancers that may be dancing around them. Also, predatory behavior. Sometimes guys and or girls could create awkward, unwanted type of situations with other dancers, especially those that are uninitiated. They kind of take advantage of the fact that the dancers are new to the scene and, you know, maybe try to hold them a little closer than they should or otherwise make them feel awkward. I suppose another one is arrogance. Dancers that don't remember their humble beginnings when they were beginners and fumbling and making mistakes, and sort of snub up-and-coming dancers that are just starting and just, you know, trying to wrap their heads around what's going on. You know, just be a little more humble, a little more helpful, a little more open, a little more forgiving, because everybody was a beginner once upon a time. Keep training. Keep going to class. Find an instructor or perhaps several instructors that can continuously mentor and guide and help you to evolve and improve. Because the moment you think you've got it all figured out and I've arrived, I've learned everything I need to learn, that's the exact moment when you start to decline and your technique starts to deteriorate. So keep growing, keep training, keep dancing, and keep going to class. That's the number one advice for leaders. And my one tip for followers is pretty much the same. Followers, you've got to keep going to partnering classes. For some reason, I think partially to do with the way that instructors handle partnering classes. Followers seem to think that partnering is not really something that they need to train in. But followers, your role in terms of lead and follow is crucial. And if you're not clear in terms of understanding what it is that you need to be doing on a constant basis to make partnering work, not just for the leader, but for yourself as well, then you're missing out. There have been so many, so it's really difficult to choose just one. But if I really had to choose just one, and I probably won't, I'll probably choose like 2 or 3. In recent memory, probably a big highlight was when Sazón de India, including myself, got an opportunity to perform and share the stage with the one and only Rodrigo Cortázar. So not only did we perform with Rodrigo, but we got a chance to train with him sort of on a one-on-one individual basis, which was fantastic. If I had to pick a second, is when Sazón de India won the Stargate competition at the El Sol Warsaw Salsa Festival with our routine Lazy Boogaloo. That was an incredible highlight, really exhilarating. We got so much positive feedback from the dancers at the event. So that's probably a very close second, at least in recent memory. So many things that I wish I could sort of go back in a time machine and just erase and make sure that they never happened. But okay, if I had to pick only one, I would pick a funny incident. Well, in hindsight, it's funny. When it happened, of course, it wasn't. It was horrifying and awkward and While I was performing with Cultural Explosion, we had a Cowboys and Indians themed routine wherein the leaders would take out a little rope or a little lasso, and we would lead the followers using that rope and lasso for about a 30-second chunk out of the choreography. So I walk on stage, overconfident, cocky, and I'm trying to rile up the audience in my overconfidence. So I take out the rope and I start wiggling it around, just to get a reaction. And the moment we start that section, within the first 1 or 2 8 counts, I completely blank out. And for the next 30 seconds, I'm just looking around, trying to catch up, trying to figure out where I've gone wrong. Oh, it was so awkward. And I think that stuck with me probably for the next few months, if not years. In fact, I still remember it. And it was a really pivotal moment because from then onwards, I made it a point of never being under-rehearsed prior to going on stage, although it still happens from time to time, and definitely being a lot more humble. So humility was the key learning from that incident. The best compliment ever probably has to be from my role as an instructor. I've had the great fortune and opportunity to train thousands of students now since I've been doing it for so long. And probably the best compliment is salsa has changed my life. And of course, indirectly, Alex, your classes have changed my life. In many cases, our classes have been the meeting place for husbands and wives that link up and get married. So again, life-changing events. But just bringing this hobby to a person who never expected for it to become a passion and seeing how that transforms their life is really, really rewarding. So dancing, which is a hobby for most, is a profession for me. So what are my hobbies? Well, dancing is sort of both, is still a hobby in spite of it being a profession. But if I had to choose something other than dance in terms of my list of hobbies, one thing that's become an integral part of my weekly, daily routine is strength training and fitness. So in fact, I'm in my workout gear as we speak because I'm about to get into a quick workout. Another hobby, which is something that I really love to do. I love technology, I love gadgets. Because of the COVID pandemic, I really got invested into the online classes space and the technology behind that. So if you've ever been to my online classes, you'll see that I have zoom in, zoom out, I have transitions from one screen to another. So the production value of my online dance classes is a cut above the rest, if I do say so myself. So you should check them out, little shameless plug. And of late, we have a brand new puppy who we're fostering. So dog training has become a bit of a hobby of late. I've been watching a lot of videos trying to figure out how to give this puppy a nice, healthy beginning so that she becomes a well-adjusted, healthy adult dog. So those are my current hobbies.